Mr. Robert Klug, that we usually call Bob, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where were you born?
I was born in the first hospital in Penetanguishene on Robert Street, which is where the old Georgian village was. That was the first hospital.
Right.
That's where I was born. And I lived most of my youth on Fox Street, just up a couple blocks east of here.
Right.
Yeah. So it was easy for me to walk down here. Of course, I can relate to when the Beck lumber yard had all the stacks of lumber piled up here. And when the Payette foundry was right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's where Bayfield House is now.
Yeah, that was a foundry.
And Beck's was this part, like we're in the museum?
This was his office slash store, and basically the employees, I should say, they quite often were paid in some of the Beck coin, Beck money.
Right.
This was for legal tender, and they had to spend it in his store. So he had a pretty good monopoly going on here.
Really?
That all changed, but at that time, the Beck family was a pretty powerful business
In Penetanguishene.
in Penetanguishene, yeah.
Yeah, and so you were a little kid at the time.
Oh, I was small, yeah. I was small, but I remember it though, that's what I'm saying, you know.
Yeah, and
Lots has changed.
I imagine for a child at that age, seeing all this lumber and stuff must have been pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's when we still had the train tracks that went by here, went right down to just the old foundry,
Right.
the Beatty foundry, down where it used to be called Dutchman's Cove. They call it another marina now, but next to Euronia Park, that's where it stopped.
Right, so the train track came right through here.
Yeah. And that shuttle that's down, covered up under the canopy, that shuttle was used to move some of those huge stacks of lumber around.
Right.
And of course, at the time there was the Beck buildings and the barn. The barn burnt, but all these other buildings were still there.
Right, and that train track would go back to where the tiny trail is now, right?
It was part of the tiny trail.
Right.
Right at where Lincoln Court Apartment, there was a roundabout, and it was a metal structure in the ground,
Okay.
and the engine of the train would roll onto it, and it would be moved around to turn the train to go back out of town.
Oh, really?
And I remember that.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
And would that train have passed through Midland at some point, or?
That always confused me because Midland's over there,
Yeah.
and that train went out through Tiny and down to Allenvale and further.
Right.
I can't
Yeah, it would have been
I can't remember how it ever would have got to Midland, but there was a train track in Midland,
Yeah.
which I remember, but I can't remember if that was connected
Yeah.
to Penetanguishene.
So coming back to, so your schooling was in the area here?
Oh yeah.
So let's start with elementary school. Where'd you go?
Oh God, we go back to a school that's on Robert Street in Owen, right in the corner. It was a big, probably 2.5-story building.
Right.
And there was the boys' school here, and then the girls' annex further up, you know. And we had the nuns and their brothers.
Oh, okay. So it was
Yeah.
religious.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. The old school, it was quite interesting. The one thing I do remember is it used to have a chute on the south side, and every year we had to go through a fire drill, and the chute from the second floor, it was like the slide.
So you'd use that to exit the building?
That was an exit from the second floor. Yeah.
Things you would not see today.
And the brothers that taught us, there was a building where, I guess we're next to St. Anne's Church on this side, which is where the rectory is now, the new rectory.
Right.
That was a big old building there, 2.5 wood frame building, and all the priests were, not the priests, the brothers were in there.